Okay, so thank you so much. So, Dipesh, first of all, I would like to know from you that how you really came into digital marketing and how you chose Facebook ads as your core expertise.
Sure. So I've been in digital marketing since 2005, so quite a long time now. And it wasn't by design, it was just by chance. I used to be a project manager, I used to be a software developer, and I was looking for a new role in 2005, and I saw a role that said website project manager. So I thought, okay, moving from software development, where I'd been working with HTML and intranets and things like that, into customer-facing websites that couldn't be too difficult. And the role itself was actually managing like website projects, development projects, but also landing pages, analytics, user research, etc. I absolutely fell in love with that role, and it was my first taste of e-commerce. And it was amazing to see that you could track all this data about users. You could manipulate it with conversion rate optimization and things like that. So I kind of fell in love with e-commerce straight away, like within days, and never looked back. So I've been in e-com now since 2005, and that kind of journey took me from kind of managing websites into managing marketing. So my first, I guess, marketing channel was SEO. So my role of looking after websites was also managing the SEO part of the website. So making sure the HTML was tagged properly, images are tagged properly, URLs are properly worded, all the kind of on-site SEO. And that got me interested in off-site SEO, into paid search, into affiliate marketing, into email. So in the space of, I think, 4 or 5 years that I was at that company, I probably touched on every single marketing channel you can think of, because we were pushing innovation. We were always testing new things out. So I got to learn TV advertising, direct response, direct mail, outdoor advertising, everything. Now, how I actually fell into Facebook ads, again, was by chance. It wasn't by design. So in 2009, I lost my job at that company. I was made redundant. And it came at a difficult time for me that we'd just bought a new house. I had a big mortgage. My second child was due. And then I got this notice of redundancy. And initially I thought, I'll just get another job. It'll be fine. But it was in the middle of the global recession. So around 2007, 2008, there was a big global recession. 2009, my company that I was working for let me go. And it took me many months to find a new job. And that was difficult for me, because I'd spent 4.5 years at this e-commerce company, helped them scaling up. I think they were doing 3 or 4 million a year when I joined. By the time I left, we were doing 12, 14 a year. So we'd done big numbers at the time. And I thought I'd get a job really quickly, but it wasn't obviously the case. So it took me many months to find a job. So I actually fell into depression at that time, and I couldn't pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. So I was in a difficult space. Now, at that time, my wife reminded me that a few years prior, back in 2007, I was actually looking at affiliate marketing and thinking, there's nothing these guys are doing that I can't. Like, I was getting paid a salary. My yearly salary, these affiliates were making in commissions a month, or even like weeks. It was just insane. And I remember kind of speaking to some of these affiliates, and I could see how much they're making from us. And I said, like, how many merchants do you work with? And they're like, 10, 20 merchants. So I summed it up, and I thought, you guys are pulling in terms of revenue, anywhere between 250 and 500K a month. That's insane. Like, I just couldn't get my head around it. And that got me interested a lot more into affiliate marketing. I started to learn more about it. So when I got made redundant, that's when I started to run my own affiliate marketing, because I had no choice. I needed money, right? 2 years later, myself and my wife, we took that affiliate business to 7 figures, and that was the first kind of point where I realized that I don't need a job. Just as I was looking to quit the job, because we were working part-time affiliates and then kind of full-time working to bring a steady income, because affiliates can be up and down as well. Then I made some really bad moves. I made some bad hires. I stepped off the gas. I let other people take control of SEO, which was my core. As much as people know me for Facebook right now, back in 2009, 2011, I was really heavy into SEO. I knew it inside out. And we lost all our rankings because we relied heavily on Google, and our traffic went to zero. Our revenue went to zero as well. So that was a really messed up time. So I was desperate for traffic. Tried paid search, but we couldn't get our cost per click low enough, and that's how I fell into Facebook ads. So since 2012, I've been running Facebook ads, and it took me 18 months to really figure out Facebook ads. But when I did in 2014, we took a company from, or I took a company from 800K to 8 million in just under 12 months. And that's when I realized the power of Facebook ads. And since then, I haven't looked back.
Okay, so that's really an inspirational story of yours. And right now, as I can see on Facebook and Instagram, I'm seeing this ad of yours of CBO Cookbook, which is your new ebook. So, as we all know that Facebook is going to bring in CBO for all the ad accounts in coming few days or months. So, I want to ask you, what are some of the strategies that you have been using or you use that has worked really well for you in terms of CBO?
Yes, I mean, CBO came out late 2017, and it took me about 6 months to be convinced that it was a good thing. And the thing that it took me a while to figure out is, like a lot of people see right now, they see that. So for anyone that doesn't know CBO, it's basically moving moving budget management from your ad set to your campaign. So logically, you'd think it's a simple change. You just manage your budget to campaign as opposed to ad set. On the face of it, that's it. But behind the engine of CBO, it's far more complex. Because if you think about managing one ad set with a budget and multiple ads, that one ad set doesn't have any knowledge of the ad sets that are running alongside it. All it cares about is, right, I've got this budget of $500, I've got these 3 ads, and I've got this audience, and I'm just going to try and deliver as many ads to as many people as I can profitably. Now, when you move the budget to the campaign level, the campaign is now looking across multiple ad sets. Those multiple ad sets are looking at multiple ads. And so the decision making is very, very different. And it took me 6 months to figure this out and to crack it. And since probably summer of 2018, we started to make some really good progress, see some great results and numbers. It's now become, since probably September, October last year, it's become the main scaling strategy we use. So the cool thing about CBO is when you give it the right inputs, it works. Where I think people fail is they don't understand how it works. So for example, one of the strategies that doesn't work is fire up lots of different audiences, lots of different ads, just put a budget inside and just pulls out the bad performers and hopefully it'll work. It doesn't work like that, because CBO needs time to adjust and figure out where your best audiences and your ads are, and which ad sets needed to have spend more than others as well. And also, like with the CBO, what I found is the more you test your ads and your audiences before you start putting money behind your CBO, the better it performs. So we have a process where we test our audiences and ads in kind of smaller budget CBO campaigns. Then when we find our winners, we move them to a separate CBO ready for scaling. What we're doing by doing that is we find our winners already. So we know this audience is good. We know this ads are good. We move it to a separate CBO. We have a set kind of formula to determine the budget, and then we optimize the ad sets in a particular way. And then when we start to run the testing, we know what to look out for and kind of how to start looking for when a CBO is ready for scaling, and then we scale it up. So that's one of the strategies which we discovered early on. To give you an example of the impact, last year we scaled an e-com company that was doing a few million a year to over 20 million in 5 months. Like, wow. I've not scaled that kind of level before, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without CBO, because what CBO gave us was we were able to run large audiences. So first thing about scaling is if you don't have a large audience, then you're going to cap out and you're going to struggle with creative fatigue. So having CBOs in place allowed us to scale a lot faster. It also gave us a lot more stability. So if you think in a given day, the auction changes so frequently, so you'll have different competitors, different users, etc. CBO campaigns seem to adjust to that better than ad sets. So if you have one ad set and it's like $500 at the ad set level, that ad set will continue to try and spend $500 every single day. Now, if you have a CBO and let's say we've got a $5,000 CBO campaign with 5 ad sets running, every day the budgets will differ just based on performance. Yeah. So that's kind of what helped us to scale. And also when we were upping budgets, and bear in mind this was Q4 last year, so holiday sales, October, November, where people are in a buying mode and we were selling e-commerce products, we were able to often shift our budgets up on a daily basis by more than 100%. So if you try doing that with an ad set, it will really mess things up. We were doing that with a campaign, and it was stable just because of the way the CBOs work. So for example, we scaled up really, really quickly from, I don't know, 5,000 a day up to 20, 25,000 a day within days, which you couldn't do with ad sets. And we did that with stability. And that enabled us to grow a lot quicker. We didn't have any of these hacks like duplicating ad sets or running manual bids and running hundreds of ad sets at $1 a day. We didn't do any of that. It was just literally, we followed Facebook's structure. We knew what the kind of ingredients were to make it work, and we made it work. So you mentioned like the CBO cookbook. That's why I kind of put this together, because I think there's too many people that don't understand how CBO works. And I thought, right, what's the fastest and kind of most efficient way that I can help people to fill that gap right now, so that they can get the same results we've been getting. And, it just seemed like we started writing this document. It was supposed to be like 6-7 pages explaining how CBO works. It turned into like 70 or 75 pages worth of strategy and insights of exactly how we use CBO. And, we only published it last week, and we're already seeing people are having some great results. So, that's really positive as well.
Yeah. So really great results. And there's one more thing in ad sets, like there are these bid strategies: bid cap, cost cap, and target cost. So I've been using this strategy, bidding strategy, bid cost, and it's been really performing well for me. But I want to know that how do you use these strategies of bidding?
Sure. So I'm a fan of bid as well. I don't like the other ones necessarily, because I have more control over bid costs, and also bid cost applies at the Facebook auction level. So when you're applying a manual bid against the bid cost, you're doing it in the auction at the time of when your ad's going to get served. When you're doing target cost and the cost cap, that's doing it on the conversion side, so on your website. So you're saying, I want a max CPA or I want an average CPA. That's basically what you're telling Facebook. The problem with that is you're relying on Facebook's prediction algorithm to find you audiences and auctions that it thinks are going to convert at $25 or $50 or whatever your target or cost cap is. Whereas at the bid level, you're bidding far earlier, and so you've got more chance of getting success. Now, the thing for me is, before you do manual bidding, as long as you've got your core 4 working properly. So this is something which I try and get people to really, really understand. The core 4 is your product, your offer, your audience, and your funnel. If you've got all 4 of those working really efficiently, then manual bid can work for you well. So products being that you've got a product that's tested, it's validated, it's good, and people want it and need it. The offer is not necessarily discount, but it's the proposition. So you're matching your product with your audience. Then your audience, obviously you need to have a well-defined audience. And then your funnel, because the better your funnel converts, the faster it loads, the more chance that Facebook will reward you with cheaper CPMs and better audiences as well. So when you've got all those 4 things in place, then manual bid works a lot better.
Okay, great. And one more thing, like what kind of custom audiences that you use and their lookalikes, because I've seen that many of my friends who are using custom audiences, and they make lookalikes of those. So there are some custom audiences which don't work. So what are the kind of custom audiences and their lookalikes which has been working for you now?
Sure. So I guess the starting point is always to start with whatever data you've got. So if you're starting a new store and you're starting to do interest-based or broad targeting, then you want to do lookalikes from your pixel. Ideally, you want to go purchase pixel if you can. If not, then you go maybe try add to cart or something a bit deeper, not necessarily landing page view or like view content or something too high up. So I usually start with those kind of custom audiences to create lookalikes and start testing. And generally, I'll test 1 to 3% lookalikes to see if they can work. Ideally, the quicker I can get customer email-based lookalikes, the better. And so, for example, if I've got an established store, a lookalike of people that bought more than once, or a lookalike of people based on lifetime value or average order value or customer satisfaction score, those kind of signals are far stronger than anything else. And what I would then also try and do is aim for an audience size of minimum 1,000 if you can, anywhere up to 3,000 give or take. So my range ideally is 1 to 3,000. What I found time and time again is when you go above 3,000, maybe 4 or 5,000 is okay, but above that it makes no difference because Facebook don't need much more data than that. So I've tested creating custom audiences with 50,000, with 5,000, with 3,000, and I found that there was no real difference once you got past 3,000-4,000 in terms of the size, because it's a seed audience. And what Facebook do is they take every user. If you imagine a table, for example, so every user on the left, and then all their attributes across the top. It only needs anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 optimally to figure out the best users. Anything above that, you're just adding more data, but it doesn't really make a difference. So that's kind of how I look at my custom audiences and lookalikes.
Okay, so great tips there. I want to ask one thing that whenever you are starting a new campaign, so let's say that today you have started a new campaign, and what are the metrics that you look at to see if this campaign is performing good or not, or should you stop this campaign or not?
Yeah, sure. So I guess if it's a fairly new campaign and if it's a new account and I don't have too much data, then I'll kind of start using my own benchmarks, because we've run ad accounts for like thousands of different ad accounts. So I know generally for industries what is a generally good CTR or cost per click or CPM. Then I'll look at kind of how many people are adding to cart if it's e-com, or registering if it's lead gen or something like that. So I'm always looking for early metrics first of all. And then if we are starting to get purchases, then obviously there's CPA and ROAS and things like that. Now, one of the things I do is when I do my testing, I test based on the amount of impressions an ad has got. So some people say, spend $25 if you don't get a sale, then kill it. The problem with that kind of strategy is if your CPM is $50 and you say, right, I'm not going to spend more than $25, and if it doesn't work, it moves on. That $25 is only going to buy you 500 impressions. For me, that's not enough impressions to test. If, for example, your CPM is $5, that $25 budget will buy you 2,500 impressions. Sorry, no, is it 20? Yeah, it will buy you a lot more impressions, whatever it is. In fact, it's 5,000. So it will buy you more impressions. So that strategy is flawed. Instead, what I do is I make sure that every ad ideally has a minimum of 2,000 impressions, maybe sometimes more, maybe up to 5,000. Because after that, statistically, it makes no difference. In fact, Facebook don't actually need more than 500 impressions to determine whether what the ad's relevant score is, and to also give you delivery insights. But what I found is about 1,500 to 2,000 impressions will give you stable data. So after that, it doesn't really make much more difference over time. So I test up to that limit. If the ad's not performing, then I might kill it and bring another ad in, or I might kill it and duplicate it and give it another chance to see how it might perform as well.
Okay. So that tip is really going to help others make their decisions. And when it comes to copywriting, Depesh, like copywriting is such an essential part of advertisement. So is there any copywriting strategies that you use, or creative strategies that you use into your Facebook advertisement?
Yeah, absolutely. So above copywriting comes avatars. So you really, so in my training in the agency, whenever we work on any ad account, we always really try and understand who the avatar is, because once you understand the avatar, then you can build the angles for how you're going to communicate with them. So for example, let's take one of the companies we worked with. They were selling smoothies, for example, and the smoothie could be, it's a health drink. It could be for someone who wants to lose weight, or it could be for someone who's building their muscle, or it could be for someone who just wants to maintain a generally healthy lifestyle. So there's three angles right there. So even though we're going after, let's say, an audience of females 25 to 45, we've already found three individual unique angles which we can test. Once we have that, then we want to kind of add all the product features in. So, it's organic or whatever all the benefits are. Then we construct the ad copy from that using a particular style where for me, the first two lines of your ad copy have to really appeal to that angle, or that kind of particular avatar angle. So, for example, if we're going after people who want to lose weight, then the first two lines might be something like, um, when you're trying to lose weight, sometimes the hardest thing is to decide, what to eat or drink during the day. Thankfully, we've solved this. So immediately, if someone sees that ad, if they are looking to lose weight, then they've immediately identified and we've connected. If they're not looking to lose weight, then they'll skip past it, and that's absolutely fine, because you don't need to convert every person into a click. To give you an example, when I mentioned that we scaled this company really fast last year, our click-through rates were on average 0.8%. So a lot of people would look at that and say that's not that good, but our conversion rates were 6 to 8%. So if you look at this, we weren't necessarily getting as many clicks as we could have, but those clicks were really, really high quality. So that matters more, because Facebook look at who you're pulling out of the newsfeed and how you're treating them. So if we pull out fewer people, but we convert them really well, that counts for a lot more. So that's kind of how we would manage it. Then, if we found the angles that worked, then we would also create landing pages specifically for that. So if we know that the weight loss niche in this avatar works and these particular angles work, because the thing is, like, the first few lines mean so much, because if they don't convert, then no one's going to click the read more, assuming you've got more copy. So we're always testing those first few lines. Then if that works and it's getting people to your landing page, then we do the same kind of hierarchy testing there. So, like, make sure the headline really appeals, then the sub-headline and the paragraphs, etc., really reinforce each statement, and just make sure we're, like, mini conversions happen here as well. So if someone reads the headline, that's one conversion. If they then watch the video, that's another conversion, etc., etc. So we're trying to kind of create these small kind of friendly nudges to get them into deeper down our funnel without them really realizing that they're about to purchase something, if that makes sense. Although people know, obviously, there's going to be a sale, but we're not, like, one of the things that really annoys me is people are still using spammy, dropship copy of, wow, this product's amazing, 50% off, buy now, limited stock, all that kind of stuff. Just doesn't work as well as it used to 3-4 years ago. People are bored of it, they're used to it, it just doesn't cut through. And this is why I get people to really focus on who exactly is your avatar, what are the different angles you can play with, and test all the copy angles within that as well.
Okay, great tips there. So we need to create different avatars, and like in copywriting, I've studied that the most important thing is the headline, because if the person is not reading the headline, then all your body copy is waste. So the first two lines of Facebook are really essential, and really interesting tips there. So Depesh, thank you so much for giving me your time and to this podcast. And there are a lot of people in India who learn from you. So those people who want to get in touch with you, so where can they get in touch with you, on Instagram, mail, anywhere?
Sure. So I guess my website, depeshmandalia.com, is a good start place. Otherwise, my Facebook group, where I try and share as much knowledge as I can, Facebook Ads Experts Academy.
Okay, sure. So thank you so much, Depesh Mandalia, for being a part of my podcast. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.